What's up, Digidestins? This is Kyle D, better known as RideMyAvatar, and today we're doing none other than a tier list for none other than EX08. It's around the corner, so it's time to start pumping out that EX08 content for you guys to enjoy. I'm sorry I've been on a little bit of a hiatus, but just needed some time to decompress over the holidays and all that. A lot of craziness has happened in the last couple days, last week, so it's just good to just take that decompress time. So without further ado, let's get into the video and talk about it. So first off, let's take a look at the tier list maker, and as you know, this is EX08 Chain of Liberations. So as we go over the set, we know our requirements. 1 is crazy strong, 2 gatekeeper, holds up with the meta, 3 good but needs a bit more, 4 is just give it better support, 5 is just straight up dead deck. And if you're in the dead deck category, it means probably don't take this to locals, and you want to have a good time, don't take it to locals. So that's definitely like playground, super casual friends kind of play. That's where you bring it. But without further ado, let's get into it. First off, we do have Digimon. Digimon's good, but definitely needs a bit more support. I think it's fallen off quite a bit from where I've been keeping it in the tier 2. It's a good deck, but it has definitely fallen down just a little bit. Bloom Lord. Bloom Lord is, I want to say, still pretty solid, but it's definitely fallen a bit out of favor. It's definitely moving down to tier 3, and oh my goodness, from the player base that knows me so well, Bloom Lord's been holding strong in tier 2 for the longest time on my list, but I feel like Bloom Lord still does some crazy shenanigans and still can prove itself no matter what it does into the tier 2s and even into the tier 1s, but I feel like it's starting to just showing its time. It's an older deck. It's just, even though the support exists and it kind of gets a little bit of something here and there, it's just not enough at the end of the day. Then we have Phoenixmon. Phoenixmon is still a solid deck. The deck's concept is still really strong. Being able to have big bodies that kind of regenerate themselves, get them back if you kind of get from your on deletions through your evolutionary skills with Phoenixmon X, you know, you get the whole shebang, and you're just really great at having all your on deletion skills be your new when digivolving skills. So it's just something to keep in mind. Mirage is still good. I wouldn't be even surprised if it tops Nats this weekend. So just keep that in mind. Mirage is not going anywhere until they've literally put that dog down for its forever old yeller status. We have Black War Greymon X. I wouldn't call it a dead deck. It definitely, like all the Greymon decks, personally, I think just finally moving into that tier 3 category. They're just good decks, but in a best of 1 format, they're a lot better. Best of 3s, they're just good, but need some more support at this point. So I'll take in all the War Greymon decks just to kind of just do that real quick. Definitely need to kind of get them up and running. So this is kind of where they're going to be. I wouldn't go too crazy into Foresight here, but they're good, but just need some more support at this point to do something. Galacticmon, definitely with the new support, being able to top 16 even in Ultimate Cup really proves the power this deck has, and it can do a lot of damage. It just takes a confident pilot, and with Shadow Seraphimon Ace in the deck is very powerful. I have no objections on this. Mugen's definitely tier 3 at this point. It hasn't really got a new support in a way, shape, or form that would make the deck really fundamentally stronger as it needs to be. But, you know, no new level 6 Machine Dramon that is hyper-focused into the list. That's just kind of what happens. Arrestermon, definitely tier 3 category. We're going to probably have a little bit more on the tier 3s this time around because, again, they're starting to fall out a little bit out of favor. They're just not keeping up as they used to, and it just shows. Beelzemon, I definitely still think it's a solid tier 2 deck. You still can take this and still do extremely well into your locals. Nothing too out of the ordinary here. Larger events, maybe not. This is the Mirage Loop. For people that really thought this deck was going to be nuts, it proved it wasn't. And that just kind of happens, right? So just something to think about there. Then we do have Rosemon. Good, but definitely needs some more support at this point. Just kind of just showing its age. It's good, but hasn't got anything new. We had Commandramon, D-Brigade, Digipolice do well in event recently, which is good to see because we needed that. But God, I hate my throat right now. Okay, there we go. So with keeping that in mind, Commandramon is doing quite well, and I still think it still does well into the format. As long as Death X isn't and Ruin Mode aren't your biggest competitor stance, you'll see fine in this. We have Fenry Luga. Fenry Luga is definitely still really solid. This isn't the Takamazuchi version, but I think it's even regular Fenry can still do quite well. Just people aren't going to get off the talks. Oryumon's version of the Digipolice, I think, just needs a little bit better support at this point. It's just got one. It got the D Brigade, and then Oryu came in, and then that just kind of was all she wrote, right? Then we have Metal Guru doing Metal Guru things. I think is just solid tier 3 at this point. It's not like really bad. I just think it's just solid enough. Pokemon Purple Hybrid. Deck is showing its face and showing its fangs. We are tier 2 in my opinion. Then we have Valkyriemon's deck. I think it's still solid enough, but we'll just put a tier 3. Vikmon's deck, it's good. Definitely give it better support at this point. Imperial Dramon, still very crazy strong deck, isn't going anywhere. Then we do have none other than Tyrant. Tyrant's still solid gear 2. Blah, 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 blah. Tier 2 deck, especially with the new support that's happened with the Scramble format. This has definitely improved some of these decks also that just got a little bit better because of the new support it got. So just keeping that in mind, this is where we're going at. Dexter Ruga, the black base, still solid tier 2 deck, isn't going anywhere. I think black base with the new scrambles definitely provided itself to be really solid. Purple base, same thing. Very powerful deck. Very strong. Scrambles help this deck out more because now it's fully complete and it's going to stay like that. Then we do have none other than Rapidmon. Definitely solid tier 2 deck. A Confident Pilot could definitely go long games with this. Just something to think about. Then we have Magna X. Magna X still being big body boy. This is a combination of both yellow and red. Yellow definitely, I would say, fell off to just getting better support for the version. But for the current armor version, it's definitely crazy strong. Still holds up. Ancient Greymon, very powerful deck, very strong deck, holds up. It's been winning and topping. Then we do have Ancient Garu. Ancient Garu still does a little bit well, but the tier 1 decks, just because of the hits that it suffered from the rookies getting hit, from Louis getting hit, the speed's just not there anymore. And the Hammer Spark getting slightly slapped, it just punished the deck in a way that it was just not wanting to be punished. Then we have Kazuchimon. Good, but definitely needs some, we're going to go and give it better support at this point. Or I would even just throw it here. To be honest with you, the deck is just, doesn't do well in the format. A lot of decks can just overcome it and just laugh at it. That's a problem. You shouldn't have that issue. Argomon, definitely still a dead deck. It just doesn't do anything in this current format. Eosmon, I still think it's a really solid deck. Can do some well at the local levels. Good to hold up into the local meta. I think it's a very solid tier 2 deck. Omnimon Ace, very much the Omnimon deck is solid tier 2. Takamazuchi, Taka is really strong. One of those decks that you have to play around comfortably and be ready for. Just something to think about. Oh yeah, this is the Greymon OTK shenanigans that was kind of popping up. It's good, but definitely needs some more support. Greymon needs support anyway. Emperor Multicolor, the triple hybrid shenanigans. Good, but definitely needs some more support at this point. I would not hold it very long in any other category. Blue hybrid shenanigans. Just about there. Then blue hybrid. This is more purple hybrid with the weird top end. Definitely sits right about here in my opinion. Still solid tier 2 deck. Shadow Seraphimon Setcon. So let me tell you what's happening here. This Shadow Seraphimon, I'm going to say Setcon's going to come in and be a tier 1 deck again. With the inclusion of our boy of you know who, and I'm going to say it. Medieval Gallantmon from EXO8, Setcon definitely came back in strides. I think the deck is really strong. I think it has a lot of potential. It now has ways of controlling the board and applying pressure now straight across. The aces are very scary to deal with. I think it's up there, actually. It's going to come back now. Setcon used to be a dead deck, but just Medieval Gallantmon, I think, brings Setcon back into the fray, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot more Setcon players. Duskmon, purple hybrid shenanigans. Crazy strong. Doesn't matter where you go with it. It's going to do well. Then we do have Greymon. It's gotten 2 promo cards. I think it's good, but definitely needs some more support. I just think that's where it's going. Dynasmon X, bye-bye, bottom of the barrel. Lusamon with the scrambles definitely, possibly could go into tier 2, but we're going to be realistic and give it tier 3. I think it's a strong deck. Confident Pilots can do some crazy shenanigans, but do I expect it to top any major events? No. I expect local levels is going to do something. Bees solid tier 2. Not going to go any further than that. We kind of know what it does, and you know what? It has great value and synergy. RideMyAvatar, solid tier 3. Could be tier 2, but again, it just really comes down to the pilot and competency, right? Then we do have LordKnightmon X Antibody, the purple deck that everybody is a little bit nervous on always to see up, but I think it's still a solid tier 1 deck. It does play decently well, but actually, no. Let's move it down to be hyper realistic. It's a tier 2 deck. The amount of tops it has is a lot less than these guys up here. This is the only reason why I brought Setcon up, is because Setcon's history is always scary. Then we have Zed Millenniumon. Zed just needs to see the right hand, and it's really good. I'm going to put it in tier 3 right now. I think it does well into the tier 2 format. Can go right against some of the tier 1 decks in combat. But again, it's a big setup deck. You need to see the pieces as soon as possible, and if you don't, you're going to be in it for a bad day. Then we have none other than Alphamon here. Alphamon's good, but it just needs some better support at this point. I'm going to put it in tier 3 because, again, it can OTK in the tier 2 categories, maybe sneak some wins in the tier 1s, but the setup kills it. Black base hybrid with Mother D Reaper. Solid tier 2 deck. It just does what it wants. The deck's not going anywhere from the tier 2 category for anytime soon. Black base purple hybrid, black base Mother D Reaper shenanigans just does the work it needs, right? Then we do have Dragon Lynx. Good, but it just needs that final Hina, and I think the deck pops off. I think it moves right into tier 2 very comfortably, if not higher. So we'll have to see what happens. Blue Flare. Blue Flare's still solid tier 2. It definitely does what it wants into the field, can do pretty well. Green Ranger. Green Ranger with Leopardmon X and all the new support. I wouldn't be surprised if this deck moves into tier 2 and comfortably stays at tier 2. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. Heavy Loader Leomon. A solid tier 3 deck. It does well into the tier 2s, some of them, but not all of them, and then the tier 1s kind of just ruin its days. Levia is still really solid, to be honest with you. I think because it still plays what LordKnightmon's trying to do, but has a little bit better executed game plan, it's just better. This is Galaxy, which is just blue Mirage good stuff. Blue good top end shenanigans with Galaxy. I think it's really strong. We're going to see, this is probably what we're going to most likely see most of the way there. 7 Great Demon Lords, I think, is really solid still. Definitely a tier 2 deck that plays right into the field like it wants to. Then we have RideMyAvatar Ace, or RideMyAvatar itself, solid tier 2. I don't see it going anywhere. It's a very powerful deck. It can OTK like it's nobody's business and just make your opponent have a bad day. Mastimon Ace, solid tier 3 deck. Most expensive tier 3 deck you're gonna ever own. I think with the scrambles and stuff like that and the new memory boost, it kind of helps the deck out in a way that'll make it a little bit more consistent, but we'll have to see. You know, that's just the big question, right? At the end of the day, will it matter? Digimon really putting in work actually this coming format. It got really good protection skills and it definitely holds up a little bit, and it's been topping like crazy with Trubimon Ace and all these powerful 3 Great Angel Aces with Shadow Seraphimon Ace in the mix as well. Your opponent's just gonna have a bad time answering thing. Trubimon Ace, just solid tier 2. I think it's good. It goes off, it pops off, you know, it's just gonna do what it wants. Deoboromon, still solid tier 2. Low end, maybe tier 2, getting into tier 3, but hey, that's just how that goes. I don't know why this is here, but Barbamon, I'm just gonna straight up say tier 3. The deck is just bad. Don't waste your time. This is Ice Clad deck. I think it's a solid tier 2 deck going into the format. It has some potential and you're gonna have some good times with it. Cinderellamon, definitely a solid tier 3 deck. Zephiga, same thing, solid tier 3 deck. Even with the promo coming out as access at the beginning, it's just not enough. Nature Spirits, solid tier 2 deck still. I think it can go quite the distance here. And then let's get the other, you know, big ones. The Aqua deck, aka Deep Save is Deep Savers. Solid tier 2 deck. I wouldn't even cross my mind. Nightmare Soldier, solid tier 2 deck. Definitely great. These 3 decks with their field spells come in quite comfortably. 3 Musketeers, we'll go tier 3. Just does well in the tier 2s, but tier 1s can just shit on its days. Lilithmon X, even topping even current formats and big Evo Cups and JP. So we're just gonna put it up to tier 1 because the dog engine is just that good. I think at the end of the day, it's really solid with these 2 decks, just with the dog engines. Fine, we'll put LordKnightmon up here too. So these 3 with their dog engine and all that good stuff. And Lilithmon X does have the Gato engine as another option, so just keep that in mind. Taking a look here. Heavy Metal just is a dead deck out of the water. You're just not going to do anything. Shoto. Oh, wait. We're going to make this Mother D Reaper. That was supposed to be Mother D Reaper. Now I remember. So we're going to swap this around. So fixing that, Mother D Reaper here. And then we're going to go tier 2 for the Mother D Reaper. And this is black base. This one, Lilith. This is BL-Star, Purple Hybrid Shenanigans. Deck's really solid, actually. Very confident pilots. The removal spell options, the whole shebang, being able to mill yourself out faster than what the normal deck can do. Trey Magnifique. Dinomon. Solid tier 2, actually. I think it does quite well into the tier 2 categories. I think some testing will definitely tell. But I'm going to put it bottom tier 2, like the last one in the list. Because it can definitely kiss tier 3. It could be easily right here. But I want to give Dino a chance. And I hope so. Sukuyamon. Even with Sukuyamon X, because it's missing the Tomon shenanigans and all that, dead deck. Justimon X just needs its new wave of support and it could definitely do something. Pyramidmon definitely had a good run in the beginning of JP. Might see some good play with us because we'll have access to Pyramidmon's promos right off the bat. So we'll have to see. Now let's get into Gallantmon. So Gallantmon X is a powerhouse. I would love to put it up here. But the problem comes down to I have to be hyper realistic. It is not winning major events. It is struggling to win those tops. I definitely think it's a solid tier 2, maybe the highest of the tier 2s, like it's always been in the tier 2 category, hasn't really fallen out. And I think this is where we're kind of going to be going with it. I think a lot of the new decks have a lot of potentials. And I think with everything said and done, we've already talked about these two, but I think, actually, let's be straight here. Do I think Bobbermon's going to do anything? I think it's straight up dead deck instead of tier 3. I can't give it comfortably tier 3. So taking a look here, though, Mother D Reaper in tier 2, Shoto Black Blockers is tier 2. I think this is pretty solid across the board, actually. I think we finally narrowed out tier 2 a lot better this time around compared to the old counterparts. And we could definitely take a look at this real quick. If this thing would let me. Let's see. Let's take a look at this one, really. You know, what we had in tier 2 paired to what we have now. Doop. And let's see. So we had, this was the tier 1 that I went with last time. Tier 1 definitely grew this time around. We have Takamazuchi, which we did have before. We have Armors just being armor shenanigans, still really solid. You know, Ancient Greymon moved up because I learned from my lesson it shouldn't have been down there. Galaxy got moved up because it wasn't there before. It moved up immensely, which is good to see. And I think we're just pretty solid taking a look, balancing back. Ancient Garu moved down, but at the end of the day, I think this is a really solid tier list for you guys to work with. I have no objections on how you guys go about it. What things would you change around? Let me know down in the comments. Hopefully you guys found this video informative and some great value here. Hopefully you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you next one. Peace.